Especially when racing 364 days a year or something.
Is it?
Yeah.
Racing never sleeps.
The lads absolutely love Cheltenham when they're in camp.
I could see you in a white trouser suit. You'd be perfect. Absolutely brilliant.
Make your way into Pot World in Liverpool.
In a way, I'm happy it wasn't my decision.
As well as Drummer Collins, I also saw Superman. That was my highlight.
But then he FaceTimed AP McCoy whilst we were there.
As you do.
So, Cheltenham is over, but we still have 3 Grand Nationals to go. Yes, we go to Ireland, Scotland, and of course, up to Liverpool and Aintree. I'm your host, Dave Orton. Welcome along to Joe's Jockeys and Jackpots, in partnership with Boyle Sports. And here today to talk all things horse racing, we've got a racing fan and a racing expert as well. And the rising star of the media game, Ella McNeil, joins us on the show, and former rugby union star and international lion, it's Anthony Watson as well. Anthony, welcome along to Joe's Jockeys and Jackpots.
Thanks very much for having me.
You've got Ella next to you as well, so if you need to know anything about the sport and educate yourself, I'm afraid you are a racing fan though, right?
I am, yeah. I'll have a cheeky punt every now and then, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert, so I'll be leaning on her for all the expert advice and
High
tips.
expectations here.
Well, Cheltenham is just done. Surely last week was your perfect sporting week, right? 6 nations coming to a culmination, of course, and Cheltenham.
Yeah, it was a brilliant week, and I think it's what makes that last 6 Nations week, when you're a player, even better, because mate, the lads absolutely love Cheltenham when they're in camp. You know, you'll go into anyone's room in between training sessions and they've got it on. There's usually a room where there's all the contraband, all the stuff we shouldn't be eating, with Cheltenham on in the background. There was one year in particular, I remember, we had a member of staff called Will Carling. He was an ex-player, and we were supposed to be training when there was a big race on, and obviously you can't miss training, but everyone really needed to know, because honestly the whole squad had pretty much backed whoever it was, I can't remember, and we had Will Carling run on with the waters and tell us if they'd won or lost. Like, that's how in-depth it gets. Like, the lads love it. So
just
it's
always one of the legends of the game, Will Carling, that did that. And now you're retired, you can name names as well and say all these sort of things. All right, well, I'm looking forward to getting into that. Of course, England quite couldn't do it, could they, on Saturday with the 6 Nations, of course. And it was the same case on the Friday, 24 hours before, Galloping de Champs, going for the 3. History wasn't quite made.
Such a shame, wasn't it? I think everyone on the racecourse, no matter who they backed, was so rooting for Galloping de Champs to try and make history win his 3rd Gold Cup. But it wasn't to be, but the Irish still won it, didn't they, with I Know the Way You're Thinking, who I thought was ultra impressive.
Supplemented for the race. Will he go for the Grand National? We'll get into that, of course. All right, then, there you go. 28 to us, to Ireland on the week. Surprise, surprise. Well, we're down at the start. Time to get out of the gates. Let's get straight into it, shall we? The Cheltenham Festival is done and dusted. Ella, we talked about the drama of the week. Real theatre, wasn't it? But what about on the horse front? Which equine performance impressed you the most?
Well, as you said, so much drama. I mean, on day one, we had so much excitement and so many of the short price fabs beat. But earlier in the week, really impressed with Co-Pick de Boards and Lossiemouth. But I think we were hankering after that star performance and that one that really kind of, captured our imaginations. And I think Factor File did that. He was the ultimate professional. He has a bit of a tendency to run a bit free and keen, but he kind of, I think, gotten over that this time round. He loves Cheltenham. He obviously won at the festival last year. And over 2.5 miles, he was ultra impressive, but I'd love to see him go for the big one next year and take on Galloping de Champs and the new Gold Cup winner. I Know the Way You're Thinking. I think he'd have a right shot. I think he's about 6 to 1 at the moment. So he was my star performer of the week.
Anti-post tip as well. Yeah, remember that name, Factor File, Anthony.
It's logged, man.
Now, always on the opening day, there's something called an accumulator, which all the punters every year, the dreams are all alive. We all bundle into Prestbury Park down at Cheltenham, and we put the short prize favourites in an acca. You know what I'm talking about, I think, don't you? Over the last 15 years, I checked it back, right, guys, not one of them has gone in, all right? But there was one year where we came mighty close to it, and it's Annie Power. You've got a tear rolling down your face now, Andy, because you were there and you backed her.
Yeah, it was absolute chaos, I'll be honest. Literally, again, the entire squad had backed this horse, and what makes it worse is not only did it lose, but that was around the period where everyone was betting on Eastenders in the finale as well. So at this time in camp, I thought,
so niche.
I know.
You won on me.
Honestly, you know what it's like? Well, everyone in camp, oh yeah, my dad's mate's the director, he knows who's done this. Anyway, good money after bad. I chased that one as well and doubled down and lost both. So it was a sad day, mate. Very sad.
Well, Annie Power came to last that day on the Ruby Wall. Somehow she fell and the ACCA went down, all right? So you like to think maybe not inside information, but if you get a tip, basically, that's where your punting comes from, right?
100%.
Eyes, not ears, let me tell you in horse racing. It's a big thing. We did have some massive prize winners on the week, didn't we, Ella? And again, a lot of people moaning that the favourites weren't jumping properly. A lot of them got done. But do you think that brings like a new audience in? Someone that's had a fiver on Golden Ace who won the champion hurdle?
I think it just makes it more exciting, doesn't it? And especially after last year when we had a lot of short price favourites from the Willie Mullins camp winning. This year, even though Willie still was top trader, having 10 winners, matching his own record at the festival, I think these big price winners just brought the shock and the drama and excitement that we were, maybe all needing. And I think it just brought a lot of enthusiasm and love for the game out where maybe we missed it last year. So, Golden Ace, what a winner of the champion hurdle she was. And obviously the 100-1 winner on Friday in the Triumph hurdle. I look back and I think the last 100-1 shot to win at the Cheltenham Festival was Norton's Coin in the Gold Cup in 1990. So and the fact that John Joe had never even sat on this horse before, I think it was the Willie Mullins 11th string. So Willie Mullins had 11 runners in the race. He was probably the bottom of the pile. And he'd never jumped a hurdle in public. And the fact that he beat the likes of Lalamba and East India Dock, Hello Neighbour was just crazy.
Yeah, even when his short price horses are losing, he's still winning, Mullins. It's unbelievable. You mentioned jockeys there. Young John Joe O'Neill Jr. had 2 winners on the week. What about from the saddle then? Who impressed you most there?
Well, John Joe, obviously 2 winners. So pleased for him, leading British rider. I thought it was great to see Rachel Blackmore back for the girls.
Yep.
And obviously after a pretty bad injury, she's obviously back at the top and competing at the top heights of the Cheltenham Festival and obviously hasn't lost it. Great to see her getting 2 winners on the board. But also Danny Gilligan, I thought, is a real rising star of the weighing room. He's the second jockey to Jack Kennedy, who obviously was out for injury for a long time, has come back, but he took over the job of Jack along with Sam Ewing really well whilst Jack was on the sidelines. And he had 2 winners in the week, Jazzy Matty and Woodhoo, in the race that he won last year. So he's obviously a Martin Pipe specialist. But I think Danny Gilligan's really one to watch for the future.
Young jockeys going forward. Ever come across jockeys before? They all like rugby?
Yeah, I was actually doing some hospitality work a couple of years ago. I was injured as per. And Frankie Dettori was in there. And like I said, it was England-Italy, so I got stuck into him about the rugby. And then I proceeded to ask him, mate, you got any tips for the Cheltenham this week? And he said, I don't. But then he FaceTimed AP McCoy whilst we were there.
As you do.
Yeah. And again, I didn't really know what was going on, but I took it as fact, and I'm pretty sure the horse didn't win. So
again, the greatest jump jockey of all
time
time is the worst tipster of all time. What about the social side of it last week? Obviously, you've been to Cheltenham Festival, Andy. Lots said about how Cheltenham made changes this year, Ella. Crowds were down. There was a lot of people getting too expensive, all that sort of stuff. But from a consumer point of view?
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because is bigger better? I'm not sure, because this year, even though crowds were down, you could move around a little bit more. You could get a drink easily. They had lots more bar staff than they had in the past. They had race makers on the course that can, help you, point you in the right direction, which was really nice to see. Really like friendly faces on the race course, which I think they've missed in the past. And they've relaxed the drink rules, so you can take alcohol on different places on the race course, which I think was great. And the betting ring this year was full of hype and excitement, and it was constantly busy, and there was always a flurry of people in there and plenty of money exchanging hands. And I think, it kind of brought that bit of old Cheltenham back, whereas I think in the past, hearing from bookmakers, the betting ring has been a bit quiet in the past, so that was really nice to see. But obviously the changes to the race programme as well, I think, have really worked, and I think they've still got a little bit of work to do,
Sure.
with the likes of the mares. We all would love to see Lossiemouth in the champion hurdle and mares like that in the champion hurdle in the future, but I think they're really stepping in the right direction.
All right, so thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
All right, we'll take a thumbs up, 2025. Cheltenham, if you're listening. Well done. Of course, it's not just about the horses all week. It's about the celebrities that go in. All rugby fans, if they ever saw Anthony walking through, would rush for an autograph. There was one that caused quite a stir. The GC, Gemma Collins. Did you bump into her?
I didn't. A colleague of mine of Race Day TV did. And to be fair to Gemma, she admitted that she knew nothing about racing. She wasn't pretending to be something she wasn't. And
She didn't just admit it, she shouted it.
Yeah, I think people loved it. And it's quite refreshing, isn't it, to have someone like that come and enjoy their day. And yeah, I thought it was a good thing. And as well as Gemma Collins, I also saw Superman. That was my highlight of the week. Who's apparently the new James Bond. So
Henry
that's
Cavill.
my claim to fame.
He was there.
Can you bet on that as well?
Oh, well, probably. Maybe that's the thing next year.
Ask Frankie.
If it hasn't been announced by next year, I'll do the Constitution Hill and
There you go.
new Bond double.
All right, okay, all right. So Cheltenham's done and dusted. What did we learn? So you've given us one horse for next year already. Great tipping. A factor file for the 2026 Gold Cup. What about Aintree then? The Grand National meeting. There's a 3-week break. Any horses that you thought you might be back in?
Well, talking of the 3-week break, firstly, I think that's the only thing that needs looking at in the future, is because now there wouldn't be that many horses, I don't think, that will be able to back up going to Cheltenham. And if they ran well and had a hard race, it's actually 2.5 weeks almost from start to finish, or from Cheltenham to Aintree. It's not a lot of time to recover and make sure that your horse is in prime form. And, you're having to produce these horses 5-6 times a year, and to only have a 2.5 week break between the two big festivals, you're asking your owners to pick one. You either have to pick the Cheltenham Festival or the Aintree Grand National Festival, and I think you should be able to pick both, and there should be a little bit more of a gap between, at least 4 weeks between the two big festivals in England.
So what you're really sort of telling us is that maybe Cheltenham form won't work out at Aintree. Come on, the bookmakers have got the lot already. They can't be getting more.
I know, you'd have to have a very tough horse who takes his racing really well or takes her racing really well to be able to back up at both festivals, I think.
Well, last week we had John Barnes on the, in that seat, of course, Mr. Liverpool. Have you ever been to Aintree before?
I haven't, no. I've heard good things.
One for the bucket list.
Yeah,
Would you be more of a Cheltenham Tweed or an Aintree Scouser? You know what I mean?
I'm not sure either would fit.
I could see you in a white trouser suit. You'd be perfect, Anthony. Absolutely brilliant.
Make your way into Potworld in Liverpool.
Yeah, all right, okay, fantastic. All right, that was getting out the gates. Now it's time to choose wisely. Okay, it's time for us to put our racing expert, Ella, up against our racing fan, Anthony, with their predictions. Paddles at the ready, guys, all right? We've got red means no, green means yes, all right? Fast and furious, this is going to be like we're going down the home straight of the Grand National Festival. Okay, question 1. Paul Nicholls. Thank goodness he had a winner at the Cheltenham Festival. Will his Can-Do Kid finish in the top 10 in the Grand National? Yes, Ella, why? You've had horses with Paul over the years. You think he's on a resurgence? Can-Do Kid, been lined up for it.
Been lined up for it. Stamina is the game, and he has plenty of that. He was disappointing at Newbury the last time, but over a much shorter trip than he needs. And Harry Cobden's on board, and I think, what more could you want?
Harry Cobden had a winner at Cheltenham as well. Question 2 then. Will JP McManus, such a good Cheltenham that he had, I know where you're thinking, will he go for the big one now, the short price favourite? Will JP McManus, the green and gold colours, win the Grand National? Yes or no? Yes, we're going for a yes. Anthony, just colours that you recognise, right?
Yeah, as I said, I'm colourblind, mate, so right now it's 50-50. So we're just going with the flow.
Okay, that's a yes then. Now, question 3. No Shark Hanlon, Ball Sports Ambassador, on the show this week, but we saw Hewick winning unbelievably at the weekend. He told us he would. Will Hewick finish in the top 8 in the Grand National? Ella?
Yes.
Yes, the little superstar. Anthony, no. Why not?
I did some research before I came. I think he was at 66-1, so didn't look good
Don't
to
you
me.
fancy that?
Nah, that's not good enough for me.
He's still 66-1 despite winning at the weekend. He's got a massive chance, the little guy. All right,
Heart of a lion.
Oh, now you guys are convincing me otherwise.
Heart of a lion from a lion.
Sticking with it.
You never
all right,
guess how
okay.
much he cost.
Go on.
£800.
No way.
Yeah.
All right, will there be more than 2 British trained horses in the top 6 in the Grand National? No. Ella, why not?
I think Can-Do Kid is the first British horse in the betting. He's 20-1, and he's about 15-16 down the list, so I just can't see it happening, sadly.
Anthony, staying loyal.
Yeah, have to, mate.
All right.
Through and through.
Through and through.
Lions this
I'm
summer,
with you
isn't
as
it?
well. If I
Yeah.
had one, it would be green on that as well. All right, over the 3-day Aintree Festival then, will Nico de Boinville, of course, off the mark at Cheltenham last week, will he ride at least 2 Grade 1 winners? That's a yes. All right, cream rises, right? Nico de Boinville, top class?
Absolutely, and I think John Bond will come back fighting, and Nicky has a plethora of horses going to the Aintree Festival.
Yeah.
And Nico has to be able to ride 2 Grade 1 winners, surely.
John Bond, one of the bankers of the week, beaten at Cheltenham, will come back fighting, says Ella McNeil. Absolutely love it. Will Rachel Blackmore ride at least one winner at the Aintree 3-day festival. That's a green all the way, isn't it? Absolutely. I think Rachel's just back at the crest of a wave, and she's a public rider, isn't she? She does the business. That actually gives us enough. It's now time to put our special guest into the saddle. This is where Anthony Watson is going to metaphorically jump into that saddle for some quick fire questions and a general chat. Anthony, have you ever ridden before?
I've tried. Yeah, we went to a pre-season camp to Denver, and a few of us got launched onto horses.
Why?
I have no idea. There's some guys were on quad bike. It was just like an adventure type thing. So anyway, a few guys went on. And then you had to do like a little trek up the mountain.
What, like a blazing saddle sort of thing?
I guess so. Myself and Jonathan Joseph were not allowed on the horses anyway. We were on donkeys. Guy did all the way up. So
really?
Yeah, we were not naturals. And then one of our good mates, actually, who you'd never expect, a guy called Marlon Yard, he hopped on the horse and it was like, he was a professional. And no one had seen it coming. It was berserk.
Ella's pretending to be impressed here. A horsewoman who is not looking too impressed.
I don't ride, so I can't, I can't comment.
Do you not ride at all?
No.
I don't know why I had you painted down for that. I thought Dad must have had some horses.
I know,
like
but a lot of people are shocked by it. But no, never have.
Yeah, well, to make you feel better, it's not something I'm ever interested in. To be
scary.
So you mentioned a couple of your ex-colleagues there. Are there any stick out that were being real racing fans?
Oh, there's a few, yeah. Ellis Genge is properly into it. Jamie George, every year Cheltenham, he's all over it. But the one who knows everything is Johnny Hill. Johnny Hill, who plays at Sale Sharks, he just seems to know everything. Form, where they've won, where they haven't, what ground they like. He's just on top of it. So his room is packed every week during Cheltenham week, and everyone, they either love him at the end of it or they hate him. So he's got a tough gig.
All right, okay. I mean, on a more serious note, you're 31 now. You retired at 30, so this is a recent decision for you, isn't it? How did you come to it?
In a way, I'm happy it wasn't my decision. I went to see the same surgeon who did my operation in January 2024. I went to see him on the back of an injury I had the same injury, but it flared up, I guess, in December. I went to see the surgeon. He said, look, I think it's in your best interest to stop playing unless you want to have a fusion and all sorts in your back. And, I think with all the injuries I'd had through my career, it was, the two things you don't really want to mess around with, your head and your back. So, I just took his advice and had to stop playing. So, but I'm grateful it wasn't my decision, because I think that I would have pushed it to the absolute limit. And when you've got kids and stuff, it becomes more about everyone else than just yourself, So I'm very grateful in a weird kind of way that it was taken out of my hands.
I mean, this is something we know, right, in horse racing. I mean, this sounds like a jockey. We've heard this countless of times before. You must know some jocks as well. I work with a couple of them. I mean, Aidan Coleman, who used to ride John Bond and was JP McManus. He recently retired. He won't mind me saying that he struggled with it mentally a little bit as well. Once it stops, you've got to find a new vocation, right?
I think that's the hardest thing when it's kind of out of your control as well, especially with Aidan. He had such a terrible injury, and he kind of had to retire not on his terms. So I think that's always such a challenge, isn't it? But yeah, as you say, it's part and parcel of being a professional athlete in a contact sport. But so tough, but great to see the likes of Rachel Blackmore and Jack Kennedy, especially. I know he was hobbling around the weighing room, which was quite tough to see, but yeah, these professional athletes, rugby players, jockeys are just made of different stuff.
Well, indeed they are, and here he is. Absolutely. So, okay, welcome to the new world,
Thank
Anthony.
you.
What do you plan to do?
I think the first, year or year and a half or so, I just want to try a bunch of things, figure it out. I'm not in a massive rush to dive into something. I've been, had my schedule dictated to me, be here then, eat this then, since I was sort of 15, 16 years old. So I want to take some time to really think about what I want to do and take control of my life a little bit. So we'll see. I've got nothing set in stone yet. I'll just try some stuff, see what sticks.
Jockeys and Jackpots.
Exactly.
Here you are. Yeah, great stuff.
Sit in the slipstreams over here. Maybe
Absolutely.
get some tips and that's it.
There's a big circuit for ex-pros, isn't there? To go and be in hospitality or something like that. What about like in racing? If you could take a role in racing, a pundit, or maybe not a jockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably not the best for me. I don't think getting slung off a horse at Cheltenham. Not ideal for my back, I don't reckon. So.
Not a starter either. That's a topical thing at the minute. I don't know. I reckon we'd be able to find a role for you, basically. What would you suggest to him? Ella,
Well, I had a little think about this, and they use. This is no disrespect, by the way.
It's about to be disrespect.
They use tractors to move the starting stalls. I know you were a winger, right? So you didn't necessarily weren't in the scrum, but you must have practice of being in a scrum before. You can have, those scrum machines that you have.
Yeah.
You can use them at the start to move the starting stalls. You can get the whole team.
So we don't need a tractor. We've got Anthony Watson.
It's like reverse. You don't need technology. There's human manpower.
Okay, so manual labour.
Manual labour,
yeah. All right, I'll take that. I'd rather do that than be a jockey.
Or what do you plan to do? You didn't see that coming, did you?
Exactly.
But listen, loads of advice will be coming your way. Can't not ask you about the Six Nations, of course. It's all just finished now. What do you make of the French team, who came out on top? Will they be as good as your Grand Slam winning team in 2016? Nah, that was never going to be. But they do look a bit special, like Dupont, etc. He's one of the worldies, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, they've got unbelievable talent across the park, and when you've got a linchpin, I guess, of the best player in the world right now, it makes the sum of parts even better. Is he
the best player in the world right now?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's gutting for everyone to see a player of his stature obviously suffer an injury against Ireland. And the game is worse out for players like that. But the rest of the squad, you look across the board, Intermac, the young winger Biel Barry, who's broke the Sky try-scoring record this year. Like, honestly, they are a team full of superstars. But they didn't win the Grand Slam, mate, so they can't be better than the 2016 Grand Slam.
Yeah, absolutely. Mic drop there. Yeah, no, all right, brilliant stuff. What's it been like watching the tournament as a whole? England has a slightly slow start. Everyone thought Ireland were going to be the first team to win it 3 times in a row. Yeah,
I mean, look, I think first and foremost, as an England fan, I think to see them go so close is brilliant, especially on the back of the autumn internationals, where there was a lot of frustration around playing style and not winning games. To see them turn those tight games into victories, I think was huge for the lads. So, yeah, I'm just really excited for where this team can go, and hopefully a fair few of them can go on the Lions tour this summer, because I think that's the absolute pinnacle of your sport. So, yeah, I'm excited for those lads.
Are you a rugby fan, Ella?
I am a rugby fan. I mean, I was brought up watching football, so that would over rugby. Probably football was like what I was brought up watching as a kid. But I watched Six Nations when I could, and watched the game against Scotland on the weekend. Was hoping they would get there so England could win it, but sadly wasn't to be.
Can't watch them all, can you?
You can't watch them all, especially when racing's how many days a year, 364 days a year or something.
We never sleep.
Yeah.
Racing never sleeps.
They get one day off Christmas Day.
No way.
Yeah, and when you put down the form book in Britain, you can go to America, you can go to Australia, you can go to Chile, Santiago, wherever you want to go.
364 days. That is bizarre. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Don't work in racing.
Oh, at least you're not short of work.
Oh, no, correct, absolutely. Well, that was In the Saddle, and that was all we've got time for in episode 4 on Joe's Jockeys and Jackpots. Anthony Watson, absolute pleasure to have you along.
Thank you for having me.
Think you learned a bit more about horse racing?
Mate, I think I'm more addicted now.
I'll take your word for it. And Ella McNeil, lovely debut. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you for watching as well. Joe's Jockeys and Jackpots in partnership with Ball Sports. See you next time.